South Africa supports vaccine manufacturing in Africa to ensure that we become self-sufficient as a continent, that we shared those colonial chains that have always bound us. We shared them and become self-reliant. This broad collaboration is also assisting us in being among the best in the world. We also talk about the collaboration that is taking place between scientists and institutions across the African continent and across the world.
I'm now being joined live on the news by a virologist, Dr. Oladipo Kolawole, to discuss the significance of this to Africa. It's good to have you join us on News Center now at this time.
Yeah, nice to have me on this news at this time of the day.
All right. Okay, so from the inaugural speech we heard from South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, repeatedly he has said that Africa should no longer be last in line for vaccines. Now, with this development, do you think it's going to change the trend? And how would you assess, or rather, will it effectively solve Africans' vaccine sufficiency?
Yeah, I think this is a good development, and it's worth encouraging of, because having this kind of facility, this kind of factory in Africa, we enable Africans to have access to vaccines, even beyond the Covid-19 that we are presently talking on. And you're going to see that most of the African countries are still lagging behind in terms of accessibility to COVID-19 vaccine. So having a factory in Africa that can produce billions of doses, we enable Africans to have a quick access to vaccines.
Okay, now, according to what Sun Xiong said, he said South Africa is expected to produce 1 billion doses of vaccines annually by 2025. How do you see this time frame? We're in 2022 right now.
Yes, you know that when we talk about vaccine production, vaccine manufacturing, there are a lot of what we call GMPs, that's good manufacturing procedures that have to be in place. And if you look at what the other vaccines we are using by other companies, we discover that they have been into this business before. So that is why we have a space of 2025 before they are able to produce the expected and proposed doses. Not that they will not be producing, but it's not there at the full capacity. It's the 2025 that will be at full capacity. And the little that they are going to produce can use to augment what COVAX is actually giving to other African countries, thereby increasing the accessibility to vaccines.
Okay, the factory will be the first in Africa to produce end-to-end second-generation vaccines. Can you expatiate on what these second-generation vaccines are?
Fourth-generation vaccines, majorly they are the messenger RNA vaccines. It's different from the traditional way of doing vaccines, like we talk about the attenuated, we talk about the protein subunit, talk about the DNA vaccines, and talk about a vector-based vaccine like that of the AstraZeneca. But still, that fourth-generation vaccine type, the type of fourth-generation vaccine, is still at the infancy stage. Because all of us, we understand that this is just the first time that messenger RNA vaccine is being introduced into the population generally. So there are still a lot of studies that are still going on to see if it's going to last compared to previous generation of vaccines that we do have. We can all say that when it started, the group of people that were given those vaccines were by stages. And I've seen that they started adapting that technology to influenza virus vaccine to see if they can produce some messenger RNA vaccine. I can have some pharmaceutical industry that already started some clinical trials on that fourth-generation vaccine for other diseases beyond COVID-19. So it's a promising generation of vaccines, and that is why I'm so happy that this factory is being established in Africa in order to meet with the current trend of vaccine production in the world.
Now, as a virologist, would you agree to the notion that many of the diseases, including the HIV, cervical cancer, and Burkitt's lymphoma, that are prevalent on the continent are currently being ignored?
Can you repeat yourself, please?
I said that as a virologist, would you agree to the notion that many of the diseases, including HIV, cervical cancer, and Burkitt's lymphoma, that are prevalent on the continent are currently being ignored? Or would you say the African continent is doing well to fight against these diseases?
Well, I can say that we have information based on epidemiology data that is given out. But I cannot talk categorically based on the question you asked, because I know the health system has a little challenge, and the challenge is that can we really trust the data set that we have before we can actually conclude that this kind of disease is more common, it's more prevalent in a particular environment than the other. And we're going to see that most of the people in Africa don't go to hospital. So we cannot actually infer that this a particular disease is common in Africa, or that's what Africa needed. But what we actually are doing now is to intensify efforts to make sure that we have robust data sets to inform policy meetings in all our health sectors, so that we can have a good policy in order to enhance our health system. So from there, we can know which of the vaccines is of most importance to us now to either produce or to either talk about or to either give to populace. But still, I can tell you that there are a lot of things that are coming up on vaccines, like you actually said. Even at the level of antimicrobial resistance, they're trying to develop vaccines for some, even bacteria. So it's a large work ahead of us, a huge work ahead of us that we all have to imbibe beyond viruses. That's what I just want to point out. Beyond viruses,
right.
There are a lot of things that are coming up that kind of vaccine.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Oladipo Kolawole, for shedding so much light on this new development coming up in the African continent in South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on this platform.